Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to grieve and to mourn the prospect of what might have been in the 2023 NRL Grand Final last night. Hey footy fans, let's have a footy funeral with FootyFin. And I'm not wearing black because that's the main colour of the Penrith Panthers. I'm wearing black on the outside because black is how I feel on the inside today. And it's a sad weekend, not only for Broncos fans, but for Brisbane and Queensland fans. Sadly, the Lions lost the AFL Grand Final on Saturday. The Brisbane Tigers lost the Interstate Cup to the Rabbitohs. The Gold Coast Titans lost the NRLW Grand Final to a Queenslander, Tamika Upton, and 16 other players in Knights jerseys. And then, to cap off the misery, the Broncos lost to the Penrith Panthers. Anyway, it sucks. I'm going to run over the big match. Just give a bit of an alternative take on a few things in the match. Where to begin? Well, 26-24 was the final score. It was really a penalty that was the difference. I've got a note here that 20 of Penrith's 26 points were scored off sort of failed dropouts, really, or the results of them. Failed short dropouts and one that went out on the full, etc. And look, I think at the end of the day, Brisbane's youth, the dazzling footwork, I mean, Ezra Mam, amazing, 3 tries in 10 minutes. Amazing, 20-year-old, not even 21 yet. He got the last pass for his 3rd try off Reece, Walsh, who's 21. And look, it was the youth who almost won it for them, but perhaps I think there was a bit of inexperience from the younger players that just they weren't able to close out the deal by the 56th or 57th minute when they had, I think, a 16-point lead. They just weren't able to close it out. They maybe took their foot off the pedal, off the jugular. I think they did. So these are very hard lessons to learn for these young fellas. But they have to be learned, basically. And look, I am going to talk a bit about Reece Walsh, some moments of brilliance, but some not so great moments. And I don't want to single him out, but it's the fact that on the NRL On 9 YouTube channel, they've got a 5 or 6 minute player cam feature on him. So there's more attention paid to him, more footage available compared to other players. And I've been able to make a few observations from that. But look, I've also gone through the 15-minute or so highlights version on the NRL from 9. I'm going to refer to that in a few places. So basically, here we go. In the 17th minute, a kick goes through. Penrith got the rub of the green here. It's at 1 minute 52 in the highlights video. A kick goes into the in goal. It basically bounces off Walsh. It bounces infield and up onto his hand and off his hand on the top of his thigh and then goes out. And weirdly, the ref and the sideline don't defer to the video ref and they say it's gone out off Reece Walsh, which was a mistake from the referees. It shouldn't have been a dropout, but it was a dropout, and basically a try got gifted to Sean Kenny, his first one for the whole year. Just right place at the right time. Herbie went up for the ball, sort of AFL style. He well and truly out-jumped all the Panthers. Whether it was a planned move or not, or he felt he didn't have the stability in the air, he sort of tapped it down volleyball style. Now, I assume it was Kurt Capewell who probably should have received that or pounced on it, but it bounced and Sean Kenny went over for the easiest try of his career. The footage does show that for that one, sadly, Reece Walsh was in the in goal at the time of the dropout and basically just ball watching. He should have been up in the line. Anyway, couldn't see that coming. Somewhere between that and the 28th minute, there was a Walsh, he ended up passing it backwards to Cobbo. It was sort of a half fumble, but Cobbo was cutting in and it worked out well. Now, for some reason, that was deemed a knock on or a lost ball. So that was another ref decision that was clearly wrong, if you look at the replay, but went in favour of the Panthers. In the 28th minute, Penrith were attacking, but not much was doing. They threw a loose pass that grubbed it on the ground. If you look, it's easy for me to say in the replay, but I think it was Pat Carrigan or Jordan Ricky was sort of ball watching a bit. In hindsight, they could have dove on that loose ball. They were a bit too casual. So Kenny kicks it through soccer style and then Walsh grabbed it and he went for what could have been a stunning run across the goalposts and across the try line. He probably should have cut in and headed for the opposition's try line one defender earlier than he should have. Probably should have done that around the Liam Martin. As the great Billy Slater said, he was too sideways. So what happened was there was a first high tackle by Tonga that was not at all scrutinised. So he went down after that tackle and he stayed down. So basically it was ruled he was tackled in goal or he was forced in goal. Then there was a dropout, went for the short dropout. It went out on the full. Panthers got a penalty. They kicked it 8-0. So the game has been lost really right there, you might say, in that first half or with that penalty. But anyway, the Broncos weren't to be too dispirited. In the 39th minute, Flegler charged over for a barnstorming try next to the posts. Some pretty flimsy defence there from the Panthers involving Isaiah Yeo and it might have been Lindsay Smith, I'm not sure. So at half-time, 8-6. Then we come out in the second half and then from the 45th minute, we had 10 or 11 just amazing, glorious minutes of power. Firstly, Ezra Mam busts through, missed tackles from Tungor and Lindsay Smith, and Dylan Edwards isn't able to catch him. He slides over in this corner for an amazing grand final try. 8 minutes later in the 53rd minute, there was passing going on back and forth across the field. It comes to Ezra Mam. He beat the missed tackle of Ivan Cleary, was left sort of grasping at thin air. Isaiah Yeo was a bit tired on the outside and Ezra Mam went through. Cleary missed tackle for his second try. Then in the 55th minute, amazing stuff. Cleary rushed up out of the line for Reece Walsh, missed him. Martin was there, missed him. Isaac Tungor got palmed off. Walsh went through, passed it to Mam for Mam's third try in 10 minutes in a grand final, and suddenly the Broncos are up 24-8. Amazing, amazing stuff. So look, what we've seen here is some pretty poor defence from the Panthers, from the likes of Tungor, Lindsay Smith, Nathan Cleary, Isaiah Yeo, etc. So, look, many were saying that the Broncos had won it at that point. There's still 20-odd minutes to go. One of my mates said it was over. I said, no, it's not. It's not. Don't jinx it. And sure enough, it wasn't over. So we get through to about 62 minutes, a bit of an arm wrestle there, and suddenly there's 18 minutes to go, and the Panthers need a point a minute to level it. Sure enough, in the 63rd minute, courtesy of some clever decoys and Capewell defending out there on the edge. Look, he's a great warhorse, a brilliant player. He's not a young man and he might have been tiring. So he was one of the ones. Farnworth and Staggs had been switching centres between left and right. So really, Capewell and others were fooled by about 3 or 4 decoy runners, which allowed Nathan Cleary to slice through, and then he gave the final pass to Moses Leota. Suddenly it's game on. Only 2 minutes later, Cleary kicked a 40-20 on the 3rd tackle. Now that was a big play. Sadly, the footage shows that Walsh was kind of out of position there and he wasn't understandably expecting that kind of kick on the 3rd tackle. But he did get caught out of position and that's what enabled the 40-20. That gave the Panthers field position. 68th minute, Crichton scores a try. What happened? It looked a bit like the defenders kind of stood off him. He is a very dangerous, probably I would say the most dangerous player in the Penrith backline. They're going to miss him next year. But if we look at it, Katoni Staggs got palmed by Crichton's long arm, but Staggs didn't give up. He still scrambled and managed to grab him around the legs. Selwyn Cobbo was drifting across and obviously keeping an eye on Taruva, so he had momentum towards the sideline. At the last minute, he tried to turn around and he sort of went for the ball, which is understandable, and he nearly got the ball. Now, sadly, Reece Walsh came across and he went high. Instead of going for sort of the ribs or the hips, Cobbo was high around the ball. It's easy to say, but I wish Walsh went lower, but Walsh went high, and basically Crichton fell under Walsh because Staggs tackled Crichton. Crichton fell down. It just so happened that Walsh slid over the top of him and Crichton fell over the line and happened to score. He is a dangerous player, but a bit of luck there. Then in the 72nd minute, Crichton kicks it through on the 4th tackle. Walsh gathers it just behind the goal line. Walsh sort of surrenders over the goal line. Taruva comes through, no hands, and just knees Walsh in the back of the head. It's clear. You can see it on the footage. Taruva knees Reece Walsh in the back of the head. Walsh, instinctively grabs for his head, and then while he's down, Crichton comes and flops on him, and somehow with momentum forces Walsh back over the line. The knee in the back of the head isn't scrutinised at all, which is just bizarre. Somewhere after that, that was a bit of a turning point. Somewhere after that, Walsh made a great break, but the Broncos weren't able to capitalise. Again, thinking it through now, 2-point field goal or something. Imagine that from Reynolds. Easy to say. And then in the 77th minute, Cleary scores a try. If you look at it on the extended replay, this is around 11 minutes 36. What actually happens, if you look at the footage, is a massive channel. Like it parted like the Red Sea. A massive channel opens up and Cleary just ran through it. There was evidently some confusions between the markers. So there was Walsh and Ricky. I think Walsh might have been the first marker. Due to just fatigue and pressure, they both went the same way. They went more for the open side towards the goalposts, etc. And then Ricky had to correct at the last minute. Walsh kind of stopped there, and Cleary, that massive channel allowed him to go inside Reynolds, Walters and Ricky. Walsh got a hand on him at the last minute, but it was too little too late. And that was the match winner, sadly. Finally, on 79 minutes and 25 seconds, I think it's the Broncos